there could prove a fatal encumbrance. Sleepy blue eyes examined the world from beneath a high forehead, and there was about him an air of lounging insouciance. It was only an air, however. Loo-Macklin absorbed everything that went on around him. He just didn't want the world to know it was being absorbed. He had a very small mouth, a nose that had been broken many times, and those exceedingly odd blue eyes that never seemed to open more than halfway. They were certainly a striking colour, almost a turquoise, and all the more remarkable for the fact that there seemed to be nothing behind them. A well-dressed man and woman, hand in hand, came strolling down his side of the street. They passed him as though he weren't there. It was a talent he'd refined, the ability to become part of the scenery. He followed them as they passed, looked the other way up the street, then put his hands in his pockets and walked casually across the pavement. He was 22 years old and had been registered illegal for 5 years. There were 100 classes of citizenship, both legal and illegal. Of course, you could hold both, depending on your profession and avocations. Loo-Macklin was an 83rd class illegal and had spent 2 years in that status. He was tired of it. Any 22-year-old would have been. But Loo-Macklin was very patient, which the average citizen his age was not. Patience was a prerequisite in his chosen line of work. He'd started making a name for himself in Valea, a small semi-agricultural city to the south of Cluria. A recommendation by the gang leader he'd worked for there brought him to the attention of powerful underworld figures in the metropolis. For 2 years, he'd worked for one of the city's dozen criminal syndicates. He'd learnt the methodology of operating a large illegal concern, learned it well, despite warnings from associates not to study beyond reasonable aspirations. He'd ignored them. Thus far, it hadn't caused him any trouble. He wanted to be ready when the inevitable suggestion of promotion came along. He punched in the code on the plastic button set into the security door. The code had been provided for him by the syndicate's computer. It slid aside, and he entered. There was a single aisle running the narrow length of the store. Each wall was a long, flat video screen. On them were displayed, elegantly lit and arranged, the store's wares. Despite its somewhat seedy location, the store's stock was quite impressive. Some of the best citizens of Cluria or their representatives made purchases here. The real jewellery was kept locked in a secure room somewhere below street level, and was brought up only when an actual purchase had been consummated and credit had cleared. The system proved a very effective anti-theft arrangement, though it was not perfect. Loo-Macklin could have cared less. He was not there to steal. The owner came out of a back room. It was 5 minutes to sunset time, and he was clearly impatient to close up. He was quite tall, well-built, and middle-aged. He'd chosen to let natural baldness develop. As he watched Loo-Macklin, he removed the contact jeweller's loupe from his left eye and slipped the sliver of plastic into the cleansing case he wore as a ring on one finger. Loo-Macklin stopped opposite a floor-mounted screen, which simulated a display case. He still had his hands jammed in his pockets. The owner was on the other side. "Hello." Loo-Macklin spoke quietly. He always spoke quietly, never yet having encountered a situation which required him to raise his voice. Nobody yet knew what he would sound like if he ever got really angry. "Hello yourself, citizen." The owner's head nodded toward the doorway. "If you've come to make a selection today, you better hurry. I'm closing in a couple of minutes." He eyed Loo-Macklin up and down, added, "The cheaper jewelry's in the 3rd section, right-hand wall and in the middle of the screen." "I'm not here to buy," Loo-Macklin informed him. "I'm here to collect." The man's eyebrows rose, and he appeared amused. He leaned forward, his hands resting on the top of the display screen. "I'm not aware that I owe you anything. In fact, I don't even know you."